Okay, so what I want to do in this video is I just want to show you the danger that you can encounter if when you're doing celestial navigation, when you're trying to figure out what you should enter the nautical almanac with, GM time and GMT. If you take this time from the chronometer and you take this date, particularly if your longitude is quite large, like you're really far east or really far west, you're likely to be 12 hours off, which would really screw up your GHA. So let's just take a look at this first one here, okay? So you look at this problem, it's June 4th. Oh, by the way, these three examples over here, these are all west, 150 west, and these three examples over here, they're 150 east, okay? Otherwise, they're basically the same. There's a 610 problem, that's like morning stars. There's a 1210, that's like zone time, that's LAN, and there's a 1910 zone time, which is like evening stars, okay? And we're just gonna see what happens. These three are 150 west, is 30 north, and these are 150 east, okay? So anyway, so you might think, okay, well, I'm gonna go into the nautical almanac at 04 hour, 4 o'clock in the morning on June 4th, because my chronometer says that. And I got to tell you, you'll be off by 12 hours. So how do I know that? Here's how I know that. Okay, you got to start with this zone time, okay? So it is 0610, okay? And that is on June 4th, okay? Okay, great. Now, my longitude is 150, which means my zone description, if I divide that by 15, is 10. And it's west, so that's plus. So we got to add 10 hours to get to GMT. So that makes it 1610 for June. Okay, so it's the same date. Okay, but in Greenwich it's 1610 because I had to add 10 hours. So it's in the afternoon. Now let's take this chronometer. All right, so the chronometer says 041030, and of course it's 10 seconds fast. So I'm going to subtract 10. So that gives me 041020. But here's the thing: the chronometer is saying 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, but in GM, right, so this is 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's not. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What is going on with the chronometer? Here's the story. For Coast Guard problems, zone time is always a 24-hour clock. Zone time is always a 24-hour clock, but the chronometer is an old school analog clock with hands. So 0410 would be something like this. The little hand would be down here at the 4, and the big hand would be up here at the 10. Okay, so that could be 4:10 in the morning, or it could be 4:10 in the afternoon. In this case, I had to do this zone time, zone description thing to realize it is 16. And here is where you're going to see your discrepancy. If these two numbers are different, or if you saw a date change here, you'd know you'd have to add 12 hours. So this should really be 16, 10, 20. So you would have been off your GHA. If you're doing an azimuth, your GHA was off by 12 hours, you'd be totally screwed. Okay? So let's do this one. So it's 4 June, 12:10. So this is like around LAN or something like that. So I'm going to go 12:10 zone time, and I'm going to say 4 June. Okay? And it's still 150 west, so I'm going to add 10 hours to get to GMT, which means in GMT it's like 22:10. It's still 4 June. Okay, great. Well, let me look at my chronometer. Oh, my chronometer says 10, 10, 30. Now, of course, I know I'm going to subtract 10. So that's 10, 10, 20. Well, ding, 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 ding. Okay, it's still 4 June, but it's nighttime in Greenwich. Okay, so if you went into your nautical almanac with the 10, you'd be totally screwed. You got to add 12. Okay, and that becomes 22, 10, 20. Okay. So this one, you had to add 12. Okay, this one you had to add 12. Okay, the thing to note is that we are pretty far west of Greenwich. So this is the kind of thing that might happen that. Okay, so let's do this problem now, okay? So it is 1910 for June, and I'm going to add 10 hours because I'm 150 west. So, oh man, that's going to be 29. 19 plus 10 is 29, but I got to subtract 24, and that's really 0500, but it's the next day, June 5th. So this is 0510, 5 June, okay? It's the 5th of June, not the 4th of June in Greenwich. Okay, on the ship it's the 4th of June in the evening, but in Greenwich it's the 5th of June in the morning. So now my chronometer time, I go, okay, 05, 10, 30. Well, if I, look, 05, I'd be 05, if I just use this and this, I'd be 24 hours off. Okay, so my GHA would be off by 24 hours. Now, that's actually, anyway, so I just want you to realize that. So this is minus 10. That might not be horrible just after one day, but you would have some error. So let's see here. So this would be 05, 10, 20, but you got to go on 5 June, okay? So that's a date change there, okay? Great. Now let's take a look over here at this one. So now the difference over these four is that now instead of being west, I wanted to show you what happens when we're east. So let's start with this one. It's 0610, so we're doing stars. It's 150, so in this case, it's minus 10 hours to get to Greenwich. Okay, when it was plus, when we were 150 west, we were adding hours to get to Greenwich. Now we're subtracting hours to get to Greenwich. So if I do this, that really is, well, 6, if I subtract 6 from here, that gets me back to midnight. So this becomes 2010, and this was 4 June, but now this is 3 June. So I had a date change. Okay, so GMT is 3 June. If you had taken 08 and you went in on June 4th, you'd be off by 12 hours. You got the wrong day, first of all, and you also have the wrong time. Okay, so now let's put this in there. We got 08, 10, 30 minus 10, 08, 10, 20. But you see right here, okay, those two are not the same number. So that should be a ding, 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 ding. I got to do something with 12. Since it's the day before, I'm going to subtract 12. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. You're still going to add 12 because it's really, this is not 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 2000 plus 12. That's 20, 10, 20 on 3 June in Greenwich. And that's what I would look up. Now, it turns out with these ones here, if you took this number and this date, you'd be okay in both of these. So I'm not going to do those. There would be no problem. But there would have been a problem in these other 4 situations, okay? So, and let me just do this here. We can show that. So this is, you should always do this whole thing. Compare the zone time GMT to the chronometer time GMT. Anyway, you can do those, but you wouldn't have any issue on those last ones.